Men are giving up on dating. And one of the reasons why is because of women's expectations. One of the main reasons why women have such unrealistic expectations is because of social media, and let me tell you why. So women are often fueled by what they see on social media. It seems like everywhere you look online, there are images of perfect couples, luxury, exotic vacation, lavish gifts. And this is very, very toxic because this is not even real. It's just social media. And these things create an unrealistic standard for women because they expect that from a partner. And men feel like they need to be wealthy or constantly shower women with gifts to be able to measure up. And it's a lot of pressure. It can leave men thinking that they'll never be able to meet these expectations. And as a result, men are just giving up on dating because they feel like they can compete against those fantasy relationships that we see online. And I think it's very, very dangerous because it can lead to self-esteem issues as men feel like they're never gonna be good enough. And this can result in anxiety, depression. So yeah, it's a very, very concerning problem.
Men are not afraid to share their emotions. They're not afraid that they're weak. They are afraid to have those emotions that they've shared be used against them. They're afraid to be manipulated, to be taken advantage of. They're afraid to be left in the dust after they reveal a piece of themselves that is so vulnerable. And most of this fear that they have comes from their interactions with women. We need to start acknowledging the verbal and emotional abuse that men experience from women in relationships. So much of what they go through is not reported because of society's expectations that men should just take it or men are weak if they share. It's time to start bringing light and truth to the situation. No one, male or female, should have to undergo domestic violence, domestic abuse, and that includes physical and mental and emotional.
This is the way damaged women talk. This is why guys say that they don't want to be with a woman who's been with a whole bunch of guys, because odds are if that woman's been with a whole bunch of guys, there's going to be a rusty guy in there that did her dirty. And now she's talking like this, right? Now she's saying, oh, it's too much to love someone. I'm going to fill their cup too much. I'm going to feel bad about myself when they leave. This is all damaged. This is a damaged woman who has now made a decision, by the way, oh, I'm going to use men for money because I've been done dirty by some men. And then everybody wonders why guys want somebody who hasn't been through hell in back in relationships, why they go for a woman who hasn't had a lot of sexual experiences, why they go for a woman who hasn't been in a lot of relationships, because they don't have all that damage on their back that then they're going to toss on to that guy.
70% of divorces that happen over 40 are initiated by women. Okay, why is that? Well, as she loses these hormones, there are so many brain changes that are happening. And because she doesn't understand herself, she thinks it's your problem. She thinks it's her teenage kid's problems. She thinks it's her aging parents' problem. She thinks it's work's problem. She doesn't go, oh, okay, wait, I've got some neurochemical changes going on in my brain that I need to make sure that my lifestyle supports. Since that conversation isn't open, she turns on everybody else. For years, I had so many women that came into my clinic and they said, whatever you do, please help me stay out of my doctor's office. And I was like, why? Because they don't understand me. And when they don't understand me, all they do is give me an antidepressant. And I feel so lost in what I'm supposed to do to help my own brain health, help my own body health. And we start dishing out supplements and prescriptions when there's a lifestyle that women are working against.
And what these women have that other women don't is accountability. They have something to where they look inside and they say, okay, well, maybe he was upsetting me and maybe he was getting on my nerves, but maybe it's not all him. Maybe there's something going on with me to where I need to figure out what it is that's wrong with me. Let me go to a doctor. Well, I can't go to the doctor. The doctor is not really prescribing what I actually need. They're just giving me stuff and it's not actually working for me. I need somebody who understands my issues and they're going to help me fix it, so that I don't fool around and ruin my marriage. These modern women will sit up there and say, well, it was him that ruined your marriage. Well, yeah, I don't think so. He wasn't the one who made me act like that. Yeah, but a man would have known how to fix the situation. How? It was me that was acting like that. I was having the problem. Yeah, I hear you, girl, believe me, but a real man would have known how to navigate. He would have known how to put you back in your feminine. I was going through hormonal changes. I was going through life changes. He didn't have control over any of that. And he was there for me. Yeah, but not like he should have been. Just not accountable, man.
The most toxic expectation women have of men, expecting him to relate to feelings the way a woman does. Men have a completely different relationship to feelings than women. They don't trust feelings. They trust facts. It's not how men operate. For a man, it's more about what he values, what he stands for, what facts he trusts. So instead of asking a man how he feels about something, ask him what he thinks. You can learn a lot more about a man if you ask what he thinks rather than what he feels, because he can relate to that word, thinks.
Women cheat more than men?
Far more.
Come on.
Far, far more.
Come on.
Far from. And
Why do you think women cheat more than men?
Because they're in denial about the infidelity. When they cheat, they don't even label it as that. If a woman starts cheating,
What do they label it as?
They label it as my husband's no longer satisfying me. They won't even say I'm cheating. They'll say my husband isn't satisfied. They find a way to redirect and shift the terminology so that they are void of guilt.
Women don't really need men anymore, unfortunately. And here are the reasons why. In today's day and age, guys think they go to work, they come home, they play their video games, they watch their football games, they hang out on the couch playing with their phone, they go out with their friends, and that is their day. What do women bring to the table? They take care of the house, everything looks great, take care of the kids. Hey, by the way, are we going to the parent-teacher conference? No, mom's going. Hey, did you schedule that doctor's appointment? Mom's got it. Guys, we've got to bring more to the table. If you want to feel needed and wanted by women these days, do everything like they do. Match their energy.
And I don't know if you guys remember, but I just posted a video. Lauren was actually talking about it. Let me look up her name really quickly. Flourish with Lauren is what it is. So one of the things she talked about was the nice guys, how to step up and be a leader and yada, yada, yada. And you're basically not getting with women or being successful with women because you're a nice guy. You're doing everything that you're told instead of being a leader and stepping up and going off the beaten path, right? You're too much like her. And also, Allison Armstrong kind of talks about this. He's got to do it the way you want him to do it. He's got to do it how you do it. Stupidness. What he's saying is stupid. Do everything that she does like her. Act like her. Be like her. Let me tell you what's going to happen. Since you can't think about it like you need to. Since you can't understand. I don't know, and I don't understand why you don't understand, why you're not comprehending that men are doing different things. Well, you can do this, you can do that, you can do that. Okay, but when I ask a woman, okay, can you do what I do? No. Why would you expect me to do that? Well, you're the man, it's different. Then we have all the excuses. Oh, well, you got to be nice. You got to be this. You got to go here. You got to go there. And do it like this, do it like that. I did do it. But at some point in time, well, you didn't come to the parent-teacher conference. Do I have to be at every parent-teacher conference? No. Do I have to be at every doctor's appointment? No. Are you going to be at everything that whenever we come to the mechanic or whenever we go to the mechanic, are you going to be there? Probably not. I would expect my husband to handle that. Are you ever going to come to the mechanic? I mean, maybe. I might come. I'll sit in the car. But I'm going to let you handle that. Going and filling up the car with gas. Men go to the store. Men cook. I know you guys don't like to see that or hear that, but men actually do cook. Men actually do the lawn. Y'all not going to talk about that. Are you going to step? Yeah, I mean, I might bring you out some water, but I'm not going to be doing the lawn. My daddy taught me that was like kind of what men do. Right? What do y'all be doing? Taking the trash out and really, honestly and truly, setting it in a terrible place. Don't be breaking boxes down that you ordered, by the way. You ordered that box. Be just setting it outside and a man's got to break it down. Want to talk about incompetent? Want to talk about weaponized incompetence? Be ordering stuff. Don't be breaking it down. Honey, can you get this for me? Oh, I'm feeling so bad tonight. We don't talk about that. We just talk about, oh, she feels unsupported. She feels this. She feels that. And then when we get down to the root cause of the problem, we see, oh, wait a minute. She thinks that she's doing everything, but she don't actually see what he's got going on. As usual.
You'll never get married, you think?
I don't know. I just feel like that's a bad deal.
Yeah, it is a pretty bad deal.
Like, listen, I feel like, if you already got a wife, you got out the game just in time. But
Yeah.
it's a bad deal. Like, like if you took what marriage is and you wrote it out on a piece of paper and you took it to a lawyer, they would be like, don't sign that.
Yeah.
Who's trying to get you to sign this?
Yeah.
It's a scam. It's like,
it's a bad contract.
yeah. I'm like, but I understand it. Like, that's not acceptable to most women.
Right.
Of like, I need to be able to destroy you for me to feel loved. You know what I mean?
We don't want the man that forgives us. We really don't. We want the man that says, you had your chance. It's been a pleasure. I wish you the best. Because that's the man we respect.
As a man, be willing to walk away if you're not needed, if you're disrespected, if you're taken for granted, if your efforts are unappreciated, and if your boundaries are not respected.
Men saying, I've just decided altogether to avoid women, that it's better to be single, guys. They're almost like happy about the fact that they're gonna make the choice to avoid the entire gender of women because they have yet to actually resolve the war they have within themselves.
The movement of feminism is the ultimate example of not choosing your enemies wisely. You chose men as being the enemy. 40 years later, 50 years later, you're 65 years old, single, not married, no kids. You're living in an apartment or a condo with a dog or a cat. That's all you ever talk about. And you're lonely and you're sitting there saying, I was wrong. Men are not the enemy. But guess what? That movement stole 50 years of your life. You know how painful that is?
Follow Masculine Craze for more relationship advice and tips.
I ended up marrying that nice guy. We've been together for 9 years. And this man has the same quality character traits that he had then, even more developed now as a 30-year-old man. Let me give you a perfect example. He's on a work trip. He was just in a work meeting. Texted me, hey, have you eaten lunch yet? I get pretty wrapped up in my work day and didn't think about it. I go to the front door. He has a sandwich delivered for me to make sure that I'm fed. My mom was feeling super burnt out the other day and wanted to go for a walk and realized that her sneakers had a hole in one of them. What did he do? He went online and he ordered her a pair of sneakers. My little sister had a long day at work. He texted her an encouraging text message to try and pick her up. If something needs to be done around the house, he's the first one to do it. This man showed me when he was 21 years old that he had these characteristics. And now I'm with such a gem of a human being. And I am so thankful that I didn't settle for any of the bad boys that were worth a chase back in the day. Because now I'm with somebody that treats me like a motherfucking queen.
This is why good men continue to focus on treating women so well, because they don't care about all of the superficial demands and expectations that a lot of young women are putting out there. They just do what is right, and they either find a woman that appreciates all of it, or they decide to remain single.
Men are being scolded a lot right now from something called mental overload. While this is very true and very valuable, there are a lot of creators who talk about this, so I want to talk about the men's version of mental overload, which is emotional overload, and it comes from female partners onto men. This is where the female partner expects their man to support, empathize, provide a safe space for the emotions from the day, their traumas from the past, all without reciprocating back a safe space for the man to release his emotions, his energy, his traumas. He's also expected to predict, mind read, basically guess at how she wants things done exactly as she would do them, or else he's gonna get scolded for it and knocked down because she feels it's common sense and maybe he's never done it before, or he doesn't do it like she would do it. Many men feel like they can't be intimate or vulnerable with their partners because they're going to get scolded, they're going to feel emasculated, they're going to feel like their partner doesn't like them anymore, simply is unattracted to them anymore, simply because they showed some emotion. So there are definitely a lot of times in relationships where men will rely on women for these simple tasks that maybe women feel are common sense, but we also don't talk about the emotional burden that women put on men and expect them just to take without reciprocating that same space and energy back. Partnership is understanding we don't have equal skill sets and abilities, but complementary skill sets and abilities, and creating safe space and understanding for.
Thank you. You had a man just a few minutes ago that didn't understand that, and he was a man. Dumb. Some of these guys out here, man, I'm sorry. We can have different opinions, but come on, man. As a dude, you can't it's like, wait a minute. That's not fair that, there's things that, okay, hold a man accountable. All right, cool. Great. But there's some things that men are doing that women are not doing. You should understand the dynamic in a relationship where a woman is complaining about things. Well, he ain't doing this, he ain't doing that. Well, wait a minute. He is doing that. I know personally for myself, I do this, and a lot of times you guys don't see that. Oh, well, it ain't. And then a lot of times women try to blow it. No, don't try to blow it off. This is what he's doing. Are you doing that? No, he is. So give him his credit. Be more appreciative. Show appreciation. You want a man to buy you flowers, to buy you little gifts, but you're always moaning and complaining and whining.
Do black women show regret when she sees another black man dating outside of his race?
Regret?
Yeah, a lot of times black women hate seeing black men date outside their race because white girls are trained and groomed
to be a wife.
Mm-hmm.
See, I have 3 brothers that all have white partners.
Really?
Yeah, 3 of my 4 brothers. And my other brother is a homosexual, so he wouldn't be with a white woman. And you have to also understand, I grew up in Canada where there aren't very many black people. So most black people end up with a white counterpart. So no, I wouldn't be upset. I don't understand why people would be upset. I do believe that love is love. But I also, for me personally, I need someone that's had my experience.
So you couldn't date a white man?
I'm not saying that I couldn't. I'm saying that it would be really challenging for me to make that choice. And this is the reason why. Because if or when God blesses me with children, if I have a white husband, he has black children.
Yeah. And
he doesn't have mixed children. He doesn't have white. He has black children. And if I have a black son, my white husband has a black son. And I'm sure that there are people that can learn about the culture, but you just learn differently when you've experienced the culture. And so there's things that innately he would never know how to prepare my son for because he's never experienced it. He could do all the learning but it's literally like those gurus on the internet that teach you all like the fluff stuff. And then it's like, well, what happens when stuff hits the fan? They don't really know because they've never done it.
Yeah.
They've only done the little fluffy stuff, and that's cute. And you made your money off of fluff, and that's fine. Yeah. But for people that really know like the grit and the core and the downfalls and the struggles, like that story is way different. So for me, I love all races, but I love a black king. Like when I see myself, like I love a black king.
You love that melanin girl.
Girl, I love, even though that I do believe a lot of black men have a chip on their shoulder. And it's societal and it's oppression and it's racism and so it makes sense.
What do you mean by chip? Because see, my opinion of chip on their shoulder is like ego, pride. They think that they're better than the other person. But then when you use that reason like oppression and all this stuff, that doesn't sound like chip. So what do you mean by that?
I do think it's ego and I do think it's pride. And I think that a lot of black men feel like they have to prove instead of just allowing themselves to be. So... And I get it because it's literally like we live in a world that beats our black men down. Let's just keep it 1,000. So I understand it and I still choose it, even knowing that it's there. I just, inside of my relationships, I do my best to disarm that because I don't need you to prove anything to me.
I just want you to exist.
I just want, baby.
Just exist.
And I think for that other half of it, you could help him out with that. That's where you would come in. I've seen a lot of white guys or white women marry somebody of the opposite race. And what they'll do, if they're committed, they'll learn as much as they can, and they're always evolving, they're always growing. And then they'll try to step up to the plate and say, okay, this is what I need. And now you come in and help him or her and say, okay, so this is what we do. And what they'll do is they'll watch you and they'll observe, and then they'll start doing it. They might not understand why, but they'll start doing it. Just because, that's how the house runs. So that's how you would handle that situation.
Would you sacrifice your family for your happiness, or would you sacrifice your happiness for your family?
If I'm not happy, no.
What about you?
I would definitely go for my happiness, because what is life about if we're not trying to be happy?
And what about you?
I've actually been there and done that, and I did choose my happiness, and I'm happy I did.
I mean, with all of your answers besides her, this is the reason why women initiate 70 to 80% of the divorces, because you prioritize your happiness over your family. Marriage, to be honest, isn't about happiness. Marriage is about purpose and duty. Happiness is fleeting. It's up and down, meaning that you're happy at one moment and then you're not happy another moment. Men, we could be unhappy. We act despite how we feel. There's guys that suffer in sexless relationships, sexless marriages, and still stay with that woman.
You have one life to live. Why would you sit there and be miserable for the rest of your life?
Because men, we don't think the world revolves around us. Like, men really love a girl. You just love that man based off how you feel. I think the only thing you do love is your feelings. Men, we don't prioritize the way we feel. We prioritize what's real, and that's family, that's the woman, that's the children. So we'll sacrifice our happiness for a relationship without a problem.
One tactic narcissistic women use to twist your reality. Major trigger warning before we start here. Men, I need you to listen closely, because this is how she turns everything against you. This tactic is called reactive abuse. Okay, here's how it works. She gaslights you. She constantly belittles you. She questions your manhood, keeps pushing your buttons, and keeps you on edge. And then when you finally react, maybe you raised your voice, maybe you broke down, then she suddenly plays the victim. See, you're the crazy one. You're the abuser. She just flips the script, making you doubt your own reality. I see this a lot of the time with my clients. Good men gaslit into believing that they're the problem, when they were only reacting to the abuse that they have been enduring. If this sounds familiar, you really need to know the truth. You are not crazy, and she knows exactly what she is doing. DM me the word narcissist if you're ready to take control of your life. Break free from this cycle and stop letting anyone else's manipulation affect your happiness. Let's talk through it, because you honestly deserve more than just surviving out here. You deserve to thrive.
Refrain from the woman who can't obey you, who refuses to obey you. Yes, I said obey. Obey means to be in agreement, to go in the same direction as, okay? To comply, to grant a wish or a request, all right? And you need a woman that will do that. Look, let me tell you something. You need to be with a woman who is so humble, understanding, kind, and caring and loving that she can't wait to surrender to you, okay? Because to be honest, a wise woman is only going to choose a good man anyway. So if a woman is with a good man and she can't listen, well, she really shouldn't have been on his radar in the first place. She shouldn't have been nowhere near that man, because that man is so serious about himself that he ain't playing with nobody. You see what I'm saying? You want a woman that can comply, a woman that can obey, a woman that can surrender, who can be humble, can submit, who can agree, who can be in sync, who can harmonize. If you don't, man, you asking for trouble. Okay, get rid of them women that call you boy. Boy, bye. Boy, please. Boy, gone. You better stay the farthest away from them women. For real, because they don't talk to their boss like that. They don't talk to their daddy and God like that. But they talk to you like that because they don't think that you're a man. They don't think that you're respectable. Okay? And so they'll address you as everything but that. Stay away from them.
Somebody asked me recently on a Q&A, what about men who date women who are like 10, 15 years younger? And the answer is simple. Men who date women that are over a decade younger are doing so they can absolve themselves of the responsibility that they will be called to by women of their age bracket.
Or maybe it's because men and women peak at different ages. Women are most desirable when they are in their 20s to men. You can look at all the data. That's what it says. And since a man's value of the relationship is going to be judged as to what he can provide, what he has built, when he is in his early 20s, he doesn't have anything. But when he's 30, when he's 35, when he's 40, he's now peaking in his ability to provide.
It's a way of getting away with easier relationships. If I were to date a 22-year-old girl, she doesn't even know what she can ask for in relationships, so it's just easy.
You're right. It probably is a lot easier to date a younger woman who hasn't been through toxic relationship after toxic relationship, who hasn't been traumatized by the hookup culture over a period of 10 to 15 years. A girl that maybe admires him and appreciates him for all the things that he can do for her that guys her age cannot. Instead of someone who's maybe very entitled and has a lot of high expectations and demands of a man with not a lot to bring to the table on her end.
You know, no one wants to talk about this because everyone wants to say like, oh, I can do whatever I want. And it's like, yeah, but why are you doing it? And what's the effect? Men who date women who are more than 10 years younger are doing it because they can get away with less. Because they don't have to show up. And women who are accepting these relationships, you've got to ask yourself what that's about. I don't care what people do. I care about truth. And I call what I see. And I see it a lot.
All right, Mr. Truth Seeker. I hope you do eventually find the truth.
It's my truth. I was with a woman named Samantha for 5 years. We got married. We had a 1-year-old beautiful child named Soraya. And she just left me out the blue. And never came back. And I never cheated. No physical domestic violence. No side chick. No infidelity, nothing. No going through my phone and seeing something was going on, nothing. As a matter of fact, it ain't funny, but the running joke is the only other woman I kissed in 5 years was Naomi Harris' forehead in the movie Black and Blue. Didn't even get no lips out of it, you know?
So you don't think she ever loved you?
I don't think she ever loved me. Because if she did, it wouldn't be that easy to leave.
One of the biggest turning points in a nice guy's life is when he starts to realize he's not so nice. When he starts to realize that the people-pleasing, the doing everything for everyone else, the lack of boundaries, the always saying yes, the enabling to behaviors he doesn't like just to keep the peace, isn't actually helping but hurting the people he loves and himself. Ironically, when he stops focusing on being such a nice guy and actually just asks for his wants and needs, everybody around him benefits because the subtle manipulation stops and he starts living a life of more integrity.
Why get a divorce after 25 years of marriage? The short answer is because it is not too late to be happy. And I finally got to a point at the beginning of the year where I decided that it wasn't too late to be happy. I still have, hopefully, many more years left, and I would like to be happy for those years.
1 week later.
I'm just not strong enough to fight this one by myself. I don't know what to do.
The show goes on!
Women are way less committed to relationships than men. And this is why marriages are falling apart. But we're not allowed to say that. Seatbelts on. Buckle up. I will say it again. Women are less committed to relationships than men. Roughly 70% of divorces are initiated by women. They are willing to throw the towel in sooner. Feminazis will try to convince you that women do this because of men. Because for them, the equation is always men equals evil. Now, imagine if we took men out of the equation entirely. Oh wait, we don't have to imagine that at all. We have that data. We have the divorce rates for lesbian couples. Lesbians have the highest divorce rates in the country. It turns out that if you have twice the women in a relationship, you also have twice the chance of divorce. You couldn't write it if you tried. Oh, there you go.
Every time I left his apartment, he would be like, when can I see you again? When's the next time I can see you? And he would like schedule a date right then and there. And the follow-up was so, at first I was like, ew, like you're clingy. But then I was like, oh no, this is what you deserve.
Feels nice.
Yeah, I think something I started to develop as I got older was like, when you think about what you're rejecting, say it out loud and say, I'm not going to see him anymore because he's too nice to me. And how fucking ridiculous that sounds.
Yep.
Like, and if it sounds ridiculous, it's because it is. Anytime I really ever had doubts about him, which is rare, but it's always been something that is so just clear of my past trauma.
It feels so unfamiliar to know exactly where you stand. While it feels good, it feels kind of scary, and it also feels like, wait, there's no drama.
Right.
What's going on?
Yeah. And like that something might be wrong, and it's like, is there going to be any excitement? Because like it's always just good, and it's like there's going to be enough fucking excitement in your own personal life. Like you need a rock. You need someone stable.
And this is the part of it that we never really even truly talk about, because we're always coddling women. We're always bowing down to how they feel. We're always validating their experience and their truth, instead of saying, well, maybe you ought to slow down. Maybe he's not toxic. Maybe this man is intentional. Maybe he's thought a lot about what he wants and he's going after it. Y'all say y'all want a hunter. Y'all say y'all want a man that knows how to get out there and get after it. He knows how to pursue. He knows how to apply pressure. But then when he starts to lean a little bit, I ain't gonna do too much right now, because then it would be love bombing if I did too much. But I apply a little bit of pressure. See, you go to a massage therapist, what do you want? You want a little bit more pressure? You want it softer? What's really hurting you? You know, my back, man, my shoulder, I can't, it seems like it's frozen. I just can't get it to move. Say less. I got you. They say, okay, this pressure feel fine. All right, you want a little bit more, a little bit less? Okay. All right, we're gonna work a little bit more of your body. Oh, well, it's just my shoulder. It's like, yeah, but your shoulder is connected. Your shoulder it's over here. You got nerve endings over here, and they start to tell you what you didn't know about your body. You just know this. The pain is manifesting in my shoulder, but they're telling you, I hear you. I understand, but let me do it. I went to school for this. Let me do it. And then they get you right. It's like, hey, man, I appreciate that. Every so often, you got to go back in, get that thing fixed. Massage whatever it is up out of there. You know, maybe working out too hard. You ain't stretched. It's like, I got you. Don't worry about it. Now, when you go to the house, put some ice on it, relax it, let it recover. When men do this to women and they say, hey, I know exactly what to do. Then all of a sudden, don't tell me what to do. You're acting as if this is still the patriarchy. You're a misogynist. You're a narcissist.
You can't save her. You can't convert her from the streets to Disney fairy tale princess. Like, that's not how it goes. Like, that's not how it goes, bro. Like, it just doesn't work. Like, you really just wasting your time and effort, money, resources, like all the above. And on top of that, you're putting yourself through that mental, emotional roller coaster. You're putting yourself through the ringer, dog. I can't call an ambulance for your mindset. You know what I'm saying? I can't call the cops on this bitch for treating you like garbage and disrespecting you behind your back, in front of your face. Like, it happens all the time. There are going to be guys out here that are going to be losers with women. And those are the nice guys. They get walked all over, man. It's unfortunate, dog. And I'm just a messenger, bro. What you think? I'm out here just like, hey, bro, these are all the bad things I'm wishing on you. No, this stuff happens.
I think nice guys finish last.
I'd say they don't even get a spot in the race.
No, I think nice guys win at a certain time and at a certain age.
That sounds like they do finish last with extra wording.
I think it takes the nice guy, good foundation, and then meeting a girl at that time who's like, I'm looking for certain qualities for the rest of my life.
I wanted to make this video to try and translate this message to women. This is how a man will interpret this. He has to wait his turn while you go off and have all these different relationships with other men, because what he offers right now, which may be a good foundation, is not something she's accommodating on her current relationship timeline. During this time, she'll have an endless string of possibly bad relationships with plenty of drama and toxicity. When you're finally done playing games, you're going to show up on his doorstep with an endless baggage of trauma for him to unravel and deal with. I've sometimes heard women say, if you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. This is kind of a similar scenario. You didn't want him back then, so can you see how unfair it is to expect him to want you now? A relationship forming is only dependent on when it suits her. You see value in him now, but you didn't before. This video isn't to have a go at women, it's just to explain the male point of view. Also note, men shouldn't aspire to be nice guys, they should aspire to be good men. Stand up for yourself and have some standards. Don't settle for a relationship with a woman when it's convenient for her, because there's high probability that that relationship won't last anyway. Good women will see the value in your foundation from day one.
What's wrong with women with kids?
What's wrong with little Jimmy with freckles and the glasses?
He's not my type.
Not my type.
So you want a woman that has no kids,
Yeah.
correct? Why?
Why not?
Why is it a mistake to be a nice guy?
The nice guy syndrome exists because of women. If a mom is raising her boy, she's raising her boy to be nice, meaning that he's going to do what she says. That's kind of the nice guy syndrome, is a guy who has a woman as a pedestal or an authority figure or his purpose in life. And when a woman becomes your purpose, you become the nice guy, which is that you're going to constantly try to validate her. You're going to constantly try to put her on a pedestal. And you think that if you love her enough, if you shower with her enough with attention or gifts or whatever else, that she'll love you back. And it doesn't work. It never works that way. You can't be nice enough to a woman to get her to like you back. Women are only attracted to a man they respect. And they will only respect a man who respects himself, which means a man who has boundaries for her. A man who says, I won't tolerate that.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a form of manipulation. They're actually using that to get what they want out of the relationship.
The guy's like, I did all my honey-do list. Why doesn't she want to have sex with me tonight? And then he's pouting and he's like, man, I did it. She should have. I deserve it. And then they feel sorry for themselves. They're not doing it right. You don't nice your way into a relationship.
Exactly.
Strong guy who she can lean on, who's a leader and can be decisive and doesn't always make her make all the decisions and things like that. She wants that kind of guy, right? She really does. But unfortunately, women just end up with bad men because they show these qualities better than the typical nice guy that you'll meet everywhere, right? So if you want to become a guy that a woman really finds attractive, without being horrible, then you can easily adopt these qualities. So you've got the confidence, right? Get more confidence in yourself. I know that's a really basic thing, and you hear it all the time, but it really truly makes a difference, right? And then to not be afraid to speak your mind, right? If you're going to say something and you think it's going to piss her off, but it's how you feel and it's the truth and it's your truth, then just say it, Don't be walking around eggshells because you're just so worried that you're going to lose her. Women can sense that fear and they don't like it.
Why are women filing for divorce so much more than men now?
Women now have more resources, more education than ever. So they can go to school, they can get a job, they can earn as much as men, and this means that they are more entitled to be independent and on their own if they're not happy in their marriage. Secondly, there is no societal obligation to stay in an unhappy marriage. If they don't like their partner, sayonara, they go get a job.
I try to advise men of what they can anticipate if they decide to be married. And that therefore, if they don't do their due diligence and they rely on the media to sell them marriage, which they say it's about love, well, then what's going to happen is he's going to find out the hard way that there are judges, mediators, lawyers, child support offices, child protective services, court, county clerks, a lot of people that are involved in the institution of marriage, which benefits the court if your family is destroyed. Until then, I tell men, you really have to do your homework, not only with the woman that you want to be involved with, but what the family law codes are associated with. If you are one of the 60% of first divorces, 70% of second marriages dissolving, and almost 80% of third marriages dissolving, with 8 out of 10 of them being women initiating them.
If I was a man, every woman would want me because I would just love and cherish them and tell them how beautiful and precious they were and kiss them on their foreheads, play with their hair, buy them gifts, take them to nice dinners, spoil them, worship them, and make sure that every day that they knew that they were the most magical and beautiful creature in the world. Yeah, if I was a man, I would do that. It's weird that you men can't keep these women around.
It's weird that you think that if you were a man doing that for women, you think they would be kept. You think that those women will stick around. It's so sad that she's so deluded, it's not even funny. Honey, those men that did those things for women, that did all of those things that you listed, they get cheated on, they get used, they get abused, and they get left behind high and dry. And it's such a sad, cold reality that men experience those things. You wouldn't know what to do with yourself. You would be alone. You would be alone, lady. You would be treated like dog. And I'm just gonna put this out there because it's sad that women treat men poorly that do so much for them. I am so grateful and appreciate my husband for the things that he does for me. He takes me on a date. He buys me flowers even when I don't ask. You know, he provides for our family. He works really hard to keep the roof over our heads and to spoil me here and there. I like men like that. But let me tell you something about the cold, hard truth and reality that men have to go through on a daily basis. They get used, abused, and get treated like for doing all of those things because they're too nice. To a lot of women, they'd rather be with an ass than to be with a nice guy. I don't know why y'all do that. It's weird as hell. I'm gonna say this now. It is weird as hell for you ladies to want to be with disgusting, nasty, abusive men, but not with a nice man. And then they later have the audacity to ask, where are all the good men at? Where are all the good men? Look, I'm only saying this. This is just an opinion, but this is the reality. This is what I see all the time. And then women ask me, why can't they find a good man like mine? Dum-dum, is because you like the toxic ones, not the good ones. That's your problem.
And once again, it just, people say a lot of stupid stuff, man. They say a lot of stupid stuff. What you're describing is a man that's going to follow to the T what a woman wants. Then, like people have said, they're going to turn around and leave you, and they're going to call you a nice guy. Oh, well, you shouldn't have been acting like that. You were too nice. Or you shouldn't have been giving her that. You were too nice. Or you shouldn't have been following her around and following her every order. You should have rebelled, and you shouldn't have been so nice. It's confusing. It's manipulative. It's coming from somebody who, even though you might not mean to be manipulative, you don't know what you want. And if you don't know what you want, then sit down and shut up. Period. End of story.
If you want to know whether or not a marriage is going to work, you know what the number one indicator is? You can use this in marital counseling.
Tell me.
And the data. How many sexual partners has the woman have?
Oh.
Yeah. If it's 5 or more, the marriage almost will not work out. Guaranteed.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see because
it sounds sexist, but it actually doesn't matter how many the man has had.
No, well, this is a great.
Meaning it's not an indicator. It matters spiritually.
Well, listen, I got to tell you, you said something that people need to know about, people need to hear, especially the young people, is that a woman who, I'll just use the term, samples the field.
Yeah, fine.
She thinks she's liberated. She thinks she can do what a guy does in that area. I'm not condoning the conduct, but she's so made different that what happens is it's an imprint upon her
100%.
that it's so forever for her. And if she has 5 or 10, there's an imprint where the guy, and again, I'm not bashing guys, but a guy is more forgetful. He's not he's not impressionable that way. He does great in a monogamous, long-term relationship is where he flourishes, and that's where the intimacy is meaningful to him. And that's actually what she needs, what she wants, and she doesn't know it. She thinks, I'm going to be like a guy. Well, you can't be like a guy because we don't take all that stuff seriously.
If a man ever said his ex left him and he make it seem like he did everything for her and she was so unappreciative and she was so ungrateful, you're going to see exactly why that woman left. Women do not leave good men.
What? I was about to go to bed. I was doom scrolling through TikTok, about to fall asleep. I was calling it for a night. But then I saw this video. Did she just say, women don't leave good men? Did she just say, women don't leave good men? I'm a man right here, and I'll admit that men leave good women, and women leave good men. What are you talking about? Were we not just a couple weeks talking about that lady that left her husband because she said he was too perfect? She said he was too perfect. Everything was too safe. Everything was too stable. So she left her husband. Then we had another video. Where Shorty left her stable, secure husband because she felt like her life didn't have enough excitement. Then she tried to go start dating again. And she realized that nobody outside cares about her the way her husband did. But then by the time she realized that her husband didn't want her back. How out of touch do you have to be to get up on here on the internet and say women don't leave good men? This is crazy.
Why are men not confident enough to walk up to women now? Say shout out to the guys who are confident enough.
Because you guys call them creeps. You guys scream at them. Yeah, I've seen that one before. I've seen many of those before. Because you guys won't give them the time of day. And then you complain about why they won't approach you anymore. You guys also became a problem more than you guys became peaceful. Men are not putting up with that type of drama anymore. And women have gotten way too in touch with their masculine energy that is just not worth it anymore. We are doing far too much, and this is why men are tired. We need to be feminine in order for them to approach us. That's why.
What happened to men pursuing girls? When was the pivotal moment that a man chose to not go after a girl anymore or put in any effort? It seems like guys can just put the bare minimum and not even really put in effort anymore. They don't really care to. Or they're like, why don't girls just go and make the first move and make the effort? When did it become a thing? Now it's like role reversal where they expect girls to be making the first moves, yearning for a guy and chasing him. That is, I feel like, the downfall of why it's so hard to meet someone, because men don't put in effort.
There's plenty of pivotal moments. How about when a woman called a man weak for opening her car door? Or the time that men pursued women on dating apps and him saying, hey, how are you, wasn't good enough? How about the pivotal moment when a man is looking out into the open and happens to glance in a woman's direction and somehow he's undressing her with his eyes? Or how about the moment when women considered everything the bare minimum and nothing is ever good enough? Or what about the pivotal moment where men have to fix everything in a relationship to make it work and women have to simply exist? Or how about the time there was a study done that said 80% of women find men unattractive, so why would they try anymore? Or the pivotal moment where men can be accused of SA or grape at any given moment by accident just because a woman is pissed off because she was rejected? Or what about the pivotal moment that women have constantly told men that they're so undesirable that they would rather pick a bear over a human being, as if men don't have feelings? Or how about the pivotal moment that every single man that ever chased a woman was considered a simp and women simply didn't respect them or want to be with them because they're chasing and they're trying too hard? What about the pivotal moment when the nice guy gets left because he's not toxic enough? Or what about the pivotal moment where men can't even simply be respectful without it being considered creepy or too friendly? Or what about the time that women decided that not even Cheesecake Factory was good enough for a first date? That they didn't want to get to know men for who they are. They wanted to know how much money they made and their status. And I don't know about you, but that doesn't sound worth chasing. Okay, bye.
People are overinflated, especially women, in their own head. This is not all women, because some women really have really do struggle with feeling down on themselves. But y'all, that's not the mainstream at this point. The mainstream is actually overinflated. That's why Kevin Samuels, Your Average at Best, was such a viral sensation, because women were so unaccustomed to being seen or to have it reflected to them that they're very similar to other women. Like, it's unthinkable, which is why the fact of you're average, because most people are average, the fact that you're average is like a serious ego disruptor for so many women. There's an overinflation, not just in terms of physical appearance, but in terms of like your quality of your character. There's an overinflation.
And I understand why people in general wouldn't want to be average. I don't want to be average. When I go to school, I get an A. Why would I not try for an A? I've always been an A student. I've always excelled. I've always succeeded in a lot of things. So when I get out into the real world, you're calling me average. Average doesn't mean a bad thing. It doesn't. There's plenty of people that get together. They don't have a whole lot of money, but that doesn't mean that they end up broke, that their kids are living in a terrible life. You might say average might be making 150K, the both of you. But look at all that you can do with $150,000 a year. Oh man, well, we was living in California making 150K and it really didn't work for us. So we decided to look for some land over here in this state, and it was a big move and it took some adjusting. We didn't have the restaurants that they had in Cali, man. But you know, that rent or that mortgage, you know, we didn't have the same mortgage that we that we did in Cali. So, you know, there's trade-offs.
So guilt is one of the most powerful partnership. You're in an emotional cage.
I think the men these days are being bred a little bit different. I think they're not as willing to be rejected or take a risk. And so I think that shows up when you're out and about. Like, men aren't really approaching as much as they used to.
Why do you think they're not approaching women in the same way?
Well, women made a global witch hunt against flirting, and now they're mad that men aren't flirting with them.
That's right. It's kind of like how they killed chivalry.
The whole Me Too movement caused this.
Okay.
That's literally what caused it, especially for the younger guys. Maybe the older gentlemen, like they weren't really affected by it too much, and
they still approach.
They're used to it. There's still the ones who are single, maybe.
Yes.
Who aren't locked down. But younger guys, like I get these kind of younger guys, like telling me they're terrified of going up and talking to a woman. I literally made a post on Twitter yesterday. It was about like what's the worst thing that can happen if you go up and say hi to a girl. You're not going to regret it. And I had like a couple of dudes like slide in the comments and be like, I got accused of by just saying hi to a chick on campus.
23% of females are on antidepressants. You wish I made that up, but that's according to the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, which is to say that nearly 1 in 4 women require drugs just to make it through daily life. Now, let me ask you, how has the feminist experiment been going? If you can't get through life itself without having to pop pills, you're down bad. Now, here's the worst part. You won't acknowledge that your life choices have been terrible. It's left you manless and childless. And as a result, when you die in that condo that you own because you were a girl boss and you bought your own condo or your own home, when you die in it, it'll probably take about 4 to 5 weeks to find your dead, stinking corpse because no one loved you. There were no children or grandchildren coming to visit you. There was no husband who was there to keep an eye on you. Your relationships have broken down because you prioritized work and you were a boss bitch. Well, turns out you're a dumb bitch and you just didn't know it. Having no children, no man, no family structure is why women are basically crashing mentally. You did not win the game if you want to off yourself. You did not win the game if you can't make it through life without being on pharmaceuticals. So what I'm telling you is that the feminist experiment has failed. Life is not about money. It's not about a job, especially for a woman. You need to find a good man and obey him. For the disobedient, dishonest women who would like to debate this, feel free to shoot me a DM. We can discuss it 8 p.m. EST.
Men care about peace. As long as no one's fucking with me, what a day. To the ladies in the room who don't understand this, peace comes from nothing, all right? It comes from nothing. Think about a time you asked your man what he did that day. And if the answer was nothing, think about how happy that nigga was to tell you that it was nothing. That's how we operate, all right? Nothing is a great thing, but fellas, do not expect your woman to understand peace. Just like you don't understand her quitting $1 million an hour job, she will never understand peace. Because to them, peace looks like happiness. And they don't like happiness when they're not around. She's not going to preserve your peace. And I know there's some women in here like, no, I'll preserve my man's peace. And you're a fucking liar. Because think about a time your man was in the room by himself, staring off into the distance, smiling, and you walk past the room. Did you look at him and go, he looks happy. I'm gonna leave him by himself. He looks happy. Or did you go, the fuck is he smiling about? It better be me. It better be fucking me. And she thinks you're happy, fellas, so she wants to know what's causing your happiness. But she don't know it's peace. Nothing comes with peace. So she comes and asks you, what you thinking about? And you think it's a good idea to tell her the truth. And you look her in the face and go, nothing. And that's when the fight starts, because they don't get it.